Good afternoon. This is Ron Brown. It's Friday afternoon, January 19th, 2024. There are about 2 hours left in the trading day, and the market is on fire today, especially with tech stocks. And I'm going to continue with, in this video, with the money flow scans, and I've added a couple of other scans to help us out to find trades so we don't have to spend so much time looking and making decisions, and it's all based upon VPA, price and volume. So I'll get into that. Anyway, always remember the market is your teacher. The You can listen to all the gurus you want to, but you better just learn to read the market. Then you can't be influenced by other people. Anyway, here's the standard risk disclaimer. Any stock index or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. If you're not using High Growth Stock Investor, you should just go to highgrowthstock.com and click on the link, and you can get a 30-day free trial. No credit card is required. Now I'm going to start with the market is your teacher. Now these are my comments from this morning. You can go back and look at the comments over several days. And what I try to do is I just try to read the market day by day, primarily based upon the candles and volume using VPA techniques. Now we don't get VPA signals all the time, but you can certainly tell who's in control at the end of the market day by looking at these candles. The last 2 days or 3 days, actually, well, this is a neutral day to my left here, but this is a bullish day, even though gap down. Look where this closed. It closed at the high or near the high of the day, and then yesterday it actually gapped up, traded down a little bit, closed near the high of the day. So the bulls were in control on heavy volume. As I scroll down, I want to read my commentary from this morning first. Now, I did this about 7:30 in the morning. The comp gapped open nearly 1% and closed near its high on above average volume. You can see that there. As we have seen many times, the money flowed into semiconductor stocks, Bitcoin related stocks under the other financial services group, and automobile stocks were some of the biggest losers. The index remains up and should challenge resistance today, but this is not a broad-based rally. Internals were flat yesterday. Now this morning, the internals were negative throughout most of the morning, and now they have turned positive, and the market is very strong now. Remember that the semiconductor stocks where the action was yesterday. Look right here, 18 devices up, 17 manufacturers were up. The weakness was in other financial services, and that includes most of the Bitcoin miners and so on, or the miners and automobiles. Now, automobiles were really weak this morning again, and Bitcoin was too, but it's reversed now, and it's trading up for the day. But this was a market snapshot from yesterday. You can see that I keep my snapshots every day so I can go back and see if I was correct or if I just totally missed the mark. Anyway, I wanted to point that out to you, and now let's go into the main Thinkorswim, and I want to show you that the NQ is now up 300 points. I'm going to maximize this sell, and I'm going to go to the comp. I said it could challenge, if it comes up, it could challenge resistance, and it not only challenged it, resistance is right here. It blew right through it. There was a gap open, and look at this. We're off to new highs with this market. So, like I said, do your own analysis. Don't depend upon other people's opinions, because it only will sway you or possibly sway you in the wrong direction. So look at the advancers versus decliners now. 604. You can see that at one point, if you look to the right, this was a negative 1,044. Decliners over advancers, and that's for the NYSE. For the comp, it's 327 now, but at the low point it was minus 1,109 91 to the downside. So that's how much has changed. I can go to a 78-minute chart and you can see, well, actually, let's go to, what is this chart right here? 16-minute chart. You can see the internals were very negative, and then they turned around with the market. Now, I also want to point out that you can open Thinkorswim in both the regular or the tradable account, or you can open it as a paper money account. Now, I have been just doing some paper trading here just to work on some techniques and so on, and these are the last couple of days, and you can see it's a big day. It doesn't mean anything to paper trade because you're not risking real money, but I'm just working on techniques. You can see I have some groups set up here. These are long calls. These are debit spreads. This is a naked put right here, and of course everything is profitable today. But the most important thing is you can open two versions of Thinkorswim on the same computer. I use white for my paper trades so I don't get mixed up, put a trade in on the regular one when I just want to try a paper trade. So give that a try. It'll build up your confidence for taking different kinds of trades. Now I want to get into the money flow indicators that I talked about last week. So I'm just going to make this full screen. And we have end of day and intraday. Now, this is the end of day money flow, and I'm sorted on the industry percentage price change. These have been rebuilt for the day, so this reflects what's happening today. And if you look up here at the top left, you can see at the end of the day, stocks that had closed at 50% of their range or above, had above average 90-day moving average volume, and were up for the day. There were 505 of them. Now, what I can do is I can go into the intraday money flow, just click on the first one here, money flow in, and using the same parameters, I can see that 249 of those stocks meet the same requirements. So if I go up here to the filter, edit it, you can see that the stocks, here are the intraday fields, greater than 0, 50% of the daily range, the volume has to be above the 90-day moving average volume. And those are the same requirements that are in the end of day filters. So 249 of those stocks at the close last night are meeting the same requirements. So they're following through today. And let's just take a look at what these groups are. Semiconductors, again, the devices and the manufacturers are in here. This is what was leading yesterday, if you'll remember. So what these scans do is they give you a real-time picture, or give us a real-time picture of what is happening in the market. Now I'm going to click on industries, go under tools, I'm going to rebuild indexes in the group. It's updating in the background every 5 minutes, so I'll know exactly where I stand with these groups. But look at the computer, hardware, and software groups. Now this stock right here that's on top, Vitra Systems, I took a hard look at buying it today, and then I noticed the 90-day moving average volume's only 104 shares per day, so I passed on it, but it is breaking out. I just didn't want to take such a low volume trade. But look what's in here. Pure Storage, Supermicro had a big upgrade today. Look at it. And I'm going to explain this chart here a bit before too long. This is something I put in today. But my point is you can find out where the strength is. This is all securities. Remember, I have all these other views, box stocks, sector stocks only. These are the big dollar stocks in the S&P. Sectors in Look at the difference between the in 38 and out 9, meeting the requirements of the 50% level on the intraday range, both up and down. So it's a strong day. Let's compare the money flow in right now. I need to make sure I'm in all securities, 250. And let's look at the money flow out, 117. So you can see that it's 2 to 1 right now based upon the internals and those particular filters. Now I'm probably going to throw too much at you today, but I want to just show you what I've been working on. I'm trying to make this easier to use. Now see this money flow in and out right here. These are intraday. So I'm going to update these. I'm going to go under Tools and rebuild the user smart groups. And what I did here is I am taking the same information that these filters are pulling up directly, and I am building a user smart group. And there's a good reason I'm doing this. As soon as this finishes, I'll point it out to you. Okay, so this new smart group, after you install the add-on, is going to be at the top of the list, and it's called Money Flow In and Out, percent range, percent 90-day moving average, volume. So it has to be within certain ranges on the upside. It has to be 50% or above on the intraday range. Let me just go to the intraday money flow in, and I'll go into this group. And you can see that the group is now the selected group, and everything here is above 50%. Well, this one just slipped under since I updated. It can move quickly, but anyway, that's the group, the way the group was when I ran the Rebuild Smart group. Now, the reason I did this is if I want to look at my other scans here under my daily prospecting scans, I can, if I'm looking for what I call impulse reaction, these are stocks that had an impulse up move and then a reaction move and maybe going again. So you can see this is Alley Financial. So this scan is from last night. Here is the impulse, and here's the reaction and moving up again. That's just one example. I've got all kinds of scans in here. If you've been with me a while, you're familiar with these. Here's a VPA crossover today. If you look down this list, these are all stocks where the money's flowing in and the VPA just crossed over. So you may be able to catch some of them early. Let's look at Texas Instruments. Here is the VPA crossed over yesterday, but there's a gap up today. VPA flags here. Nice setup. Like I said, I'm going to explain this chart here pretty soon. But the reason I did this is I want to be able to quickly go through here, go to the money flow in smart group, and then apply these other filters. Here is a high relative volume intraday or most active up intraday. And you can see that it pulls up 88 securities based upon this filter. So it's just a quick way to find stocks. Now here's my continuation indicator. It means these strong stocks have been strong and they're continuing higher. Let's go back to this quick pick for a minute. Let's look for stocks that hit a 52-week high yesterday. These stocks, 17 of them did, and they're all continuing higher today. Perfect Speculator, 52-week or 3.25-year high. Let's do the intraday version. You can see that there's, 19 stocks in here. Here's AMD. And look at this. There have been all kinds of buy signals on here. Now getting to this chart, let me show you what I've done here. I'm going to stay in this money flow in, the smart group that I just built. Let me close some of this up here so you can see what's going on. And I'm going to go into a new folder here, VPA Volume Price Analysis with High Volume Experimental Scans. Now my logic is, and you know this from using VPA and so on, but we are talking about the Wyckoff principles. Volume is a huge component which drives stocks. So what I did here is I created some filters, end of day up, VPA with a 4-day window, and strong volume. Sort on the percentage price change, industries up. So this is the way these stocks look last night. Now let's go into the filter. I'm going to show you what I did. I'm going to click on the preview. If you build filters, make sure you use the preview. What I did here is I'm combining signals in HG or fields in HGSI to help me find stocks that are really in demand. And to do that, I'm using the Morales and Kasher Pocket Pivot filter, but it is not really a pocket pivot filter. I call it a pocket pivot filter because that's what these parameters were designed around, but really it's a demand filter the way I'm using it. So the percent volume has to be greater than any previous 5-day down volume, so greater than 0, or the previous 10-day down volume. Now, Gil and Chris Kasher, they originally just went with a 10-day, but then they added the 5 days, so I use an either or if-or statement. And now I'm also looking for days since the last VPA signal is greater than or equal to 0, or days since the last VPA signal is less than or equal to 3, which is a 4-day window, 0 being the first day. Percentage price change has to be greater than 0. The range has to be at least 50% on the daily range. The last close has to be above $5. 90-day moving average volume above 250,000 shares. And group rank greater than 0, which means that these stocks are in an industry group. So all of that information is here in the preview, and then you can see that the group rank is there also. So I did this for the upside and the downside. I just reversed it for the down. So let's see how this works out. So I'm still in the money flow in, the smart group that I updated, and I'm going to look at the sort, which is the industry group, and you can see that there are 41 securities out of the 248 that meet the requirement. Here's 248, and if I reapply that filter after it updates, cuts it down to 41. Now you can see that there's several semiconductor devices and manufacturers in here, and Broadcom is a huge stock, so I'll go to this. Well, I'll start with Broadcom. Now what I've done here also is I've made some visual filter backtest charts. Now these number 8 and number 9 will apply any filter to the chart through a warehouse view. So if I click on Broadcom here, and I'm in the wrong chart, that's the downside, here's the upside. Notice that then it transfers that filter which I just described to you, which is right here in attached to this view, and when the conditions are met, we get a green bar. Now here I'm using the intraday, which gives me an effort versus result sort, or strong momentum. And let's just bring this up. You can see this stock has been moving sideways a long time. but it meant the conditions yesterday. And if you look over here, this column right here is days since the last VPA signal, so it fits in the window. The VPA signal was down, but that doesn't matter. I just wanted a VPA signal, and now it's showing me demand. Let's look at a Qualcomm. This has a VPA signal today, which is an effort to rise. Today was yesterday, and look, it's following through. Now these conditions were all met back here. There were VPA flags and volume. Here's the other component. Remember the pocket pivot volume or the demand volume? Heavy volume based upon prior down volume. So there was a lot of activity here, a lot of demand where this green bar is. All of these were potential buys based upon the criteria that I just pointed out to you in that filter. Why am I going to this trouble? Because I'm trying to really cut down on my prospecting time to find stocks that are either in high demand or high supply based upon the criteria in that filter that I pointed out to you. Okay, now these, if you use the warehouse filter, it's going to give you wherever the conditions of a filter are met, it's going to show you green lines here. So let me just go back up here and let's go into my I need to get in the warehouse, not the charts. I'm going to go back up to my daily prospecting, and let's just look for a 3-6 crossover indicator here with a 2-day window. So if I click on this one, you can see the conditions were met right here on the 3-6 crossover. But going back to these views right here, intraday, I know that these 41 stocks all meet the criteria that I specified in my filter. So these are all in high demand based upon the pocket pivots and volume. Now occasionally you get a pink bar here on when you get another signal, but all this is telling me, and let's make this full screen and zoom in, is that the close is lower than the open. So it gapped up, heavy demand, traded down a little bit, didn't get quite back up there, but there was an effort to rise and also strength seen returning. This pink bar just means that the close is lower than the open. Still very heavy volume, as you can see. And look at the stock today. It's really taking off. Okay, go back to this. Now, rather than just having to transfer from the warehouse to get the lines to come up on a chart, I also decided to go in here, and these are from the warehouse views, and then I put a visual filter back test VPA 4-day window up and down. These are the filters which correspond to these new filters which I'm experimenting with. 4-day window, strong volumes. The industry sort really doesn't matter here, but these same filters are now attached to this view, these two views. Here's up and down. So what this allows you to do, rather than just scanning for stocks and transferring that information from the warehouse view, let's say you have a favorite stock and you want to see if this criteria worked for you as far as a buy signal. I see I have a monthly chart here. Let me make that weekly. So let's say that let's look at Apple. I haven't looked at Apple. We're going to look at this together. So Right here was a green bar. There were several VPA flags within that 4-day window. The 3 was crossing the 6, but that isn't part of the criteria. But the pocket pivot volume bars are well above the 90-day and well above any down volume. So there was an excellent buy signal right there on Apple. It's a gap up, probably hard to take after missing this here, but it just kept on going. Here's a confirmation of it. Here's another buy right here, and then it fell off. Let's just look at the other side and see if it signaled to the downside. Yes, it did. So this was down, didn't follow through. Here's the down signal. Here's another gap down, and then let me go back up to the upside. So here's yesterday. This is today. Yesterday, there was a buy signal on Apple. Let's look at Meta. I haven't looked at any of these where you're doing these together. It hasn't come out. It's updating is what's happening here. Okay, here's Meta. These are, let's make this full screen. You can see the criteria here, the blue bars for the pocket pivot volume is greater than any down volume. So the signals happen clear back here. I'll put a crosshair on. That was around the 136 mark. And there have been pullbacks. There have been lots of buy signals on here according to the criteria. And then it consolidated for quite some time. Some buy signals, those really weren't good. Well, they might be good for a few days. And there haven't been any buy signals until recently on here, based upon the criteria from the filter. But down here, and this only goes back a year, there were some excellent buy signals. Let's go in here and edit visual filter backtest. I usually do it just a year at the most because it takes more time to compute. But look back here. See, I went back 2 years. Here were some early buys here based upon that criteria. 3 crossing the 6. So the big money was really starting to accumulate back here. Let's do one more. How about NVIDIA? You can see there's all kinds of buy signals here based upon the volume or the pocket pivot volume right here. Just all kinds of signals. Here's another one here. Nothing through here. I didn't get the heavy volume until right here, and that's when volume started coming back into this stock. So these are pretty good signals. There is no such thing as a perfect signal, but what I'm looking for are volume price analysis techniques based upon heavy demand and a VPA flag, a recent VPA flag, both to the upside and to the downside. Bring this up again. Here's, okay, this is industry sort. This is demand. So here's demand based upon the raw combo. Heaviest demand is Broadcom today, followed by UCTT. Here's a buy on UCTT back here, and look at it go today. But what I'm hoping for everyone is that it will really cut down on your prospecting time when you're looking for stocks that are in demand, and you can use any other filter you want to, but I think these money flow filters are really quite good because they keep us on top of where the strength is in the market. Okay, let's look at PayPal. It's been a dog, but look here. This was Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So there is a signal on Wednesday around 60 bucks. And it's up around 66 today. Look at all these other signals here. There was one here which is no good. But you know, when the 3 is below the 6, you better be careful about taking any of these long side trades. Right here too, it didn't work out. Just something to think about and to play with. If you have any suggestions for me, fine. But I wanted to get these out to you. I wanted to get them out for myself because I spend way too much time looking at stuff and I don't want to. I want to just be able to find potential trades which are showing heavy demand or heavy supply. Now I haven't talked about the downside. This is all securities. Let's do the intraday. And let's take a look at the visual filter backtest chart number 11. You can see that there's all kinds of distribution on this chart. Not a perfect method, but I think a pretty valid one because we're always wanting to work with demand and supply, effort versus result, and so on. And I think these scans will probably be very good. Let me know what you think. I'm going to try to do an online session next week. I didn't get around to it this week, but I'm going to try to do it next week, probably on Thursday. And I may do it early in the day so you can see how this information works out early in the market day rather than waiting until the close. Thanks for listening and have a good weekend. Remember to update your add-on file. But before you do that, what I want you to do is I want you to delete the warehouse views and I want you to delete the chart views because I had some errors in there, minor typos and stuff that I want to fix. So delete the warehouse views, delete the chart views, and then install the add-on.